Interesting news story today. Every time I do a article on biker clubs, bikie clubs, or bikie gangs, as the news calls them, over in Australia, I always get some biker from Australia who writes back and says the culture of biking here has changed, and really it's not like it used to be. What it is a lot of foreign people that have come in and are now running gangs and international drug operations. And you're like, okay, if you say so. But here is a news article that seems to coincide with that story. And also, it's talking about an interesting thing. Like, what if all these motorcycle clubs like band together and collaborated? Boy, what would that be like? You remember that 1980 something movie, 1970 something movie, Warriors? Warriors, come out to play. Warriors, come out to play. Warriors. Remember that movie? What if all the motorcycle clubs actually got together and collaborated on that so-called biker gang business? Huh? We'll look into it after this. Swoosh. Swoosh. All right, man. So, interesting story that we ran across. Actually, a little bit earlier this morning. It's long. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but I'm going to get into the gist of it. And it was quite an interesting read. And it says, it's the Daily Mail. It was, I think this was maybe yesterday or something. January 28th. Oh man, this is February the 1st. Happy February the 1st. So this was January 28th. How Australia's outlaw motorcycle gangs have transformed from bikies and leather jackets and ripped jeans to sophisticated clubs that are run like businesses for huge profits. And then they give you a few bullet points here. Recent shootings have thrown the spotlight back on Australia bikie gangs. So, we've been covering that. They've had a spate of recent shootings and stuff, so they're back in the limelight. It says violence has always been a trademark of bikies, but the reasons may be shifting. So we still have the violence we already have, but maybe for different reasons. Traditionally, clubs that warred with each other, but recent killings may be personal, not necessarily because clubs are warring, but rather because people inside clubs are fighting to get leadership as the clubs are changing. This says they may also reflect a power struggle because clubs are becoming more like businesses. And the final bullet point is involvement in the global supply of drugs is changing bikie culture and practice. That's because the money's getting good. And so David Southwell wrote this, and it was published on January 28th and updated later, January 28th. So membership of Australia's outlaw motorcycle clubs is being transformed by a new breed of criminal entrepreneurs. Wow. Not bikie druggies or bikie gangs, but criminal entrepreneurs. I like it. That's a fresh new term, criminal entrepreneurs, motivated by the drug trade profits and prepared to collaborate with rivals, a leading researcher claims. That's the interesting thing. Are these guys going to start getting along and collaborating so that they can make more money or something? A recent spate of violent shootings by individuals with bikie links has exposed the changing nature of how the gangs operate. And it's really interesting how this spate of events has been able to show law enforcement what these guys are doing. The professor of criminology named David Bright, who works at Melbourne's Deakin University and has studied bikie gangs for many years, said in the past decade, there has been a shift away from the traditional tribal identity offered by clubs towards the lure of easy money from the drug trade. For my listening audience, we have a big picture of the Hells Angels. Where there's money to be made, there has become a primary motivation, Professional Bright told the Daily Mail. So we have a picture of some motorcycle clubs. Here, this one is the Hells Angels, Australia. And I'm going to see if my computer is running fast enough to show you guys this. This is the next picture is a spate of shootings, including the ones spate of shootings, including this one of prominent Comanchero brothers at a Southwest Sydney gym in May. You guys, we covered that. The two brothers that were shot, one was killed in a gym in May. That was the Comancheros. I think these are the guys here. Omar Zahid at the top was shot dead in an execution-style shooting attack at a Sydney gym. His brother Tariq was seriously injured. We covered that story. And here's a picture of Comanchero National bikie boss Alan Meehan. You guys remember him? They called him the Versace biker club leader. And it showed him in this really expensive Versace bathrobe, which I must have one. Just as soon as I saw him, I'm a biker leader over here. I need one of them damn Versace gowns. My boy's looking strong in that right there. And he's got his woman. She's looking real strong in her Winnie the Pooh pajamas. And baby got back. I mean, he ain't playing. Okay? He's not. And this is him again with, I remember this picture where he's got two women, his wife and another beautiful blonde. He's all hugged up on. I guess things are good in the hood over there for your boy Meehan. And this says underneath this is an example. And he's wearing some Versace stuff. He's got $100,000 Rolex on his arm, a big old gold piece on the other arm, the nice Versace-like glasses, big old chain, a big old hunked and chunked up chain. Oh, boys living a good life here on a boat somewhere, on a dock. Yeah. Yeah. And it says, Meehan is an example of the new breed of bikie who love to flaunt their wealth and luxury lifestyle. Hey, listen, no raggedy ass, dirty, filthy vest on this one. Okay. Oh, some of you guys like to have the raggediest, nastiest, dirtiest, filthiest biker jacket on to exclaim your biker prowess. Your boys walking around in Versace gowns, magic carpets filled with women next to him to feed him pomegranate and fan him. Fund me, and dance for me. This is biker living these days. This is how it's done. Silks and furs. But they go back to, this is a picture of what it used to be. This is a picture of the 1982 rival. It's called the Milpera Massacre. It's one of the most infamous things. I think something like maybe 8 people were shot or killed, something like that, and a 14-year-old girl was shot. It was pretty bad. I think they're going to cover that in this. So it's showing the difference in these pictures, the difference in what biking over there is become and where it was from. There was always violence, but the violence now is for different reasons. This next picture is Sydney Airport travelers were shocked to see a deadly brawl breakout between rival bikie gang members in 2009. And the last picture, no, this picture here is not the last picture. Criminology professor David Bright. This is the guy that's given us all this information. This is the criminology professor. This was another fight that happened in Broad Beach bikie brawl. This guy, former Bandidos, Brett Chaos, went into hiding for 2 years after that infamous fight. And then here is the chart of all the outlaw motorcycle clubs or motorcycle gangs, as they call them, in Australia. And there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 3, 4, 5. So that's 35, 36, 37, 38. There's 38 motorcycle gangs that they call them. We say motorcycle clubs. There's 38 in Australia, which is a small place, man, to have that many. So they say there are 4,700 patch members and 1,000 prospects. And here's the number right here. And 38 motorcycle, they say gangs, we say clubs, but they say 38 motorcycle gangs operating in Australia. Right here. Wow. And there's this big old list of all of them. And you can see all of their colors. And some of these clubs I hadn't heard of, but many of these clubs, most of these clubs are here in the United States. And then here's a big picture of another outlaw motorcycle club. I'm not sure which one this is. Riding in mass down the road. And then here you see the Finks, and this is on the cover, my cover page that I used. You have the Finks Motorcycle Club, the Hells Angels Motorcycle Club, and the Bandidos Motorcycle Club. 3 members of each of these clubs walking in close proximity, almost shoulder to shoulder. And this could be a indication that some of these clubs are collaborating. And then here you have a lady getting a tattoo. And the purpose of this picture, and she's getting a tattoo on them pretty long legs right there. We like that. We like that. We don't see that enough. And we like it. But this is to say that a lot of these motorcycle clubs are going into regular businesses. So they're saying they're laundering that money. And typically they say tattoo businesses and other businesses are what biker clubs use to either launder money or go into good business. So that was the photo gallery. Let's get back to the story. What remains the same? And so we're breaking off the story. So let's see. Towards the lure of easy money and the drug trade, where there's money to be made, that has become the primary motivation, Professor Bright told the Daily Mail Australia. The primary motivation instead of what it used to be. Now the motivation is money, which is coming from drugs. What remains the same, though, even if the reasons may be shifting, is the trademark brutal and bloody violence that has long made bikies feared criminal enforcers. There's been this evolution from brotherhood and riding motorcycles as being the primary part of the existence to something different, Professor Bright said. A model of criminal entrepreneurship takes over. And here we are with this new term, criminal entrepreneurship. Professor Bright said this was changing the membership of clubs. Research shows that the newer members of clubs are younger, more criminally prone, or more active men being recruited or attracted to clubs, he said. And you do see a lot of these guys in these pictures and stuff are lifting weights and all of that kind of stuff. They don't dress in the stereotypical bikie way. The club leather jackets, torn jeans, and nasty boots and gloves and everything. They have a lot of bling and high-end fashion, and some of them don't even ride or own a motorcycle. And that's where we're like, we're losing the culture. We are losing the culture because they're doing something else. For some clubs and some members, it's no longer a central part of their identity. The development is a long way from how one of the world's most famous outlaw motorcycle clubs, the Hells Angels, was formed in California after World War II with the iconic name borrowed from a wartime squadron of U.S. fighter planes based in China. It's so interesting how they know our motorcycle club history And that's because our motorcycle clubs are all over the place now. The club started with returning veterans who were seeking some sort of brotherhood, something like that experienced in the military. So it developed into a club culture, Professor Bright said. The subculture was based on both brotherhood, but also on their own norms, what you might call antisocial brawling, riding motorcycles, drinking a lot, a barbarian type of culture. They call us barbarians. They call us barbarians. Professor Bright said in the early days, bikie clubs weren't all that well organized or involved in serious crime, but that has changed in the late 1990s. This led to a broader recruitment of people with useful criminal connections or potential. So as the club started changing, they started changing who they were recruiting. Membership is much more open than it once was in Australia and elsewhere, Professor Bright said. While working class men were the members, white working class men were the members early on, but these days membership has been opened up significantly, such that you see a range of ethnicities and a range of cultural backgrounds. Here they've gone back to those pictures of the early days in biking and over there, and so we've seen some of that, and we know what the point is in this article. Violence has always been a calling card of bikies, but Professor Bright said the recent shootings seem different in type from the previous and infamous episodes of carnage. He's talking about the shooting at the airport, the shooting, the infamous Milpera massacre. Those were for different reasons, he says, than the violence that you're seeing today. Perhaps the bloodiest day of biker violence in Australia was in 1982, the Milpera massacre, where the Comancheros faced off with members of the breakaway club, the Bandidos, in southwest Sydney. Both sides were heavily armed. The shootout that ensued claimed the lives of 6 bikies and a 14-year-old bystander, Leanne Walters, with 20 people also needing hospital treatment. So they go into bikie lore, ranks, and rituals, and I think that's a long section in here that I'm not going to read, because we know about the lore, ranks, and the rituals. But he comes back into the article. In 2009, a nationwide war involving multiple bikie clubs spilled over into a domestic terminal at Sydney Airport. A Hells Angel member was fatally bashed. That's the term for beaten up over there, and stabbed by Comancheros while shocked travelers looked on. We saw that over here in the casinos and stuff. We've seen that sort of thing happen in public. In 2015, another confrontation erupted on the Gold Coast in Queensland as members of the Bandidos and Finks sent tables flying and startled families running for safety in a crowded eatery during what became dubbed the Broad Beach Bikie Brawl. And that's where this one former Bandido president, Brett Chaos, Peachy, became Queensland's most wanted man after that incident. He spent 2 years on the run in Southeast Asia before he surrendered to police at Brisbane Airport. Professor Bright believes more recent bikie shootings are not like that. Not for those reasons. He thinks they're more personal and more about family vendettas, where someone retaliates for feeling disrespected or engages in a tit-for-tat killings rather than traditional warfare between gangs. The Daily Mail Australia recently revealed that National Comancheros bikie boss Alan Meehan was allegedly plotting a reprisal against the assassins who shot the gang's sergeant-at-arms, Tariq Zahid, and killed his brother Omar in execution-style double shooting at a Sydney gym. You remember they shot him up, and this guy was out partying within 3 or 4 weeks after you couldn't see a scar on him. Just, tough guys. According to court documents, Meehan discussed a reprisal attack with Comanchero World Commander Mark Buttle, underworld figure Muhammad Alameddin, and another man, Victor Yusuf, in the wake of the shooting. Meehan is in some ways emblematic of the new operation, the new generation of outlaw motorcycle gang members, as he has earned the nickname the Bathrobe Bikie by posing in that designer Versace dressing gown that we saw earlier. One of which I must tell you that I must have one. Just so you know, if you see me sitting in this chair in one of those Versace gowns, don't be mad at me. Don't hate. Just following the lead of the bikie brothers out there in Australia. I need some bling too. Anyway, they have this long list from August 29, 2020, going all the way back to 2021, 2022. So the last 2 or 3 years of all the fatal shootings and stuff that happened in Australia. So as that they could list all those for you. You can go check out this article if you want to see that. Professor Bright believes that the multiple murders could highlight a struggle for power as bikie gangs continue to evolve away from their traditional image. There may be in clubs different groups of individuals, some who are more interested in an hedonistic, rebellious lifestyle, but not interested in doing significant crime. So he says what we always say. There, in any motorcycle club, especially one that you might call a outlaw motorcycle gang or a bikie gang or whatever, and this is why they will tell you we're a biker club, not necessarily a biker gang, because there are some of us that like the hedonistic lifestyle of barbarianism. Oh! And then he says, but then there's another group within the same club that might be really keen on doing organized crime. So that doesn't mean the whole club is doing organized crime. There could be members in the club that do organized crime, but the others of us here don't. And you can have both of those in the same club. That's why bikers are like, hey, I can't necessarily be responsible for what that guy's doing. Just like if my neighbor is selling dope and I'm not, does that make the whole neighborhood a dope neighborhood? But some cops will do that. Hey, what are you doing coming out of this dope neighborhood? What do you mean? Well, you're over here in the wrong neighborhood. You're here to buy drugs. No, I was visiting. What are you talking about? There's one house over here that sells drugs. So now I can't drive through the whole neighborhood? Especially when you see white guys over in the hood. Like, what are you doing here? Driving. Well, white at that particular time. Anyway, so there could be two dichotomies. But then another group within the club, he says, might be keen on doing organized crime, and there might be some dispute between the different cliques or subgroups or just individuals in the club that just want power and they want to take it. He says often they will do whatever it takes to get that power. Where there's money being made by the club, there's even a greater motivation to take control of the purse strings. Traditionally, bikie clubs have a very strong sense of hierarchy, with a regional club coming under a national or an even international chain of command. These so-called club chapters in a city or region are headed by a president, vice president, treasurer, who are classified as office holders. Reflecting their military beginnings, many clubs also have a sergeant at arms whose job it is to keep club discipline and order, which can mean violently bringing unruly members into line. This is how this is done. Underneath this, there are patch members who can only wear the club's emblem after a long trial period, where they are called prospects or nominees. I've never heard the term nominee, but I like it. Hey, nominee, get your ass over here. This vetting process is useful in establishing criminal credentials. The vetting process is to let people in the club, bro. In the criminal underworld, one of the big challenges is who do you know you can trust, Professor Bright said. How do you know the guy who just approached you wants to work with you and isn't an undercover cop? One way is if you've got a Hells Angels patch on the back of your jacket, you can be trusted. Well, typically, if you have the club's patch on, you can, but always keep your eyes open. Despite the shocking trial, because not everybody that wears your patch is your brother. Okay, so not necessarily what he says is true. Despite the shocking trial of recent shootings, Professor Bright said some of the serious criminal organizations, which the primary goal is making money in those ones, violence will normally bad for business. So violence in illicit markets are actually avoided at all costs because it draws the attention of law enforcement. And most serious clubs are like that. They don't want you showing your ass out there in public because it makes them look bad. It brings the heat. We call it making the block hot. He says organized criminals criminal groups, whether they be bikies or mafia, try to avoid violence because it tends to bring the heat. Like we said, makes the block hot. Professor Bright said his research showed another way bikies are departing from their traditional tribal approach was that they had become more open to collaboration. Now, here's the effed up part. How would they know biker clubs are becoming more open to collaboration? And we did this story. He said there's a collaboration between clubs and a collaboration between clubs and other types of criminal organizations you wouldn't have seen even a couple of decades ago. There's a whole new model of criminal entrepreneurs, and we are definitely seeing that play out in the bikies space, he says, where clubs shift from the sort of brotherhood idea to engaging in criminal activities. And so he says, interclubs co-offending seems to be brokered or mediated by high-level office barriers. So what he's saying is now there's starting to be councils where they're working their problems out. Interclub rivalries are being handled at a high level and not on the street because that's bad for business. And the reason that they know this, and we did this story, is because in 2021, police conducted Australia's biggest ever organized crime bust, with global law enforcement agencies having tricked underworld figures into using the Anom phone app, which the people they arrested, they thought this provided complete anonymity from authorities. Like people say, well, nobody can bust WhatsApp, or now a lot of my folks use Telegram or one of these other things. So they're saying that because they were able to trick these guys into using these apps, and it was a big thing. They arrested a lot of people. This provided them insight into the scope of the high-level collaboration between major crime gangs, including biker clubs and bikie clubs, that they never knew was going on. Of the more than 1,000 arrests worldwide, 383 were in Australia and ranged from alleged mafia bosses to senior bikies to airport workers and other insiders. So they were charged with 2,340 offenses in Australia, while more than 6.3 tons of illicit drugs, 147 weapons and firearms in a place that's not supposed to have those, and $55 million in cash were seized. So this is how they know that they're talking and starting to collab. Police said various criminal enterprises had been welded together to form a global supply chain of drugs with prominent actors including mafia clans, outlaw bikies, Middle Eastern gangs, Asian triads, and South American cartels. Damn! You're holy moly! Professor Bright said that there had always been an international dimension to bikie gangs, as they nearly all emanate out of the United States of America. But this was becoming more explicit. Over the last decade or so, we are seeing a lot of bikie members, particularly office bearers of Australian bikie clubs, moving overseas to either avoid legal consequences and law enforcement, or to further their interests, Professor Bright said. And then he goes on to talk about bikie clubs are investing profits in legitimate businesses like tattoo parlors or the security industry. A lot of bike clubs provide security, like for nightclubs and stuff, and some places, brothels. Everybody likes a strip club. We like the brothels and the strip clubs. He says, I guess they are businesses that might be on the fringe, but he also said these could be money laundering or have a money laundering component. So there you have that article in summary. Holy moly. But it would be really interesting, man. What's up, Brother Animal? Black Sabbath, good to see you. It'd be totally interesting, man, if like all the biker clubs actually got together. If there was truly a council of clubs that would hear out problems, fix things, Nothing's happening on the street. Nobody's getting surrounded. You don't have 5 people shooting a guy off his motorcycle. You don't have people over in the UK running over a biker in a different. If all these things were handled and all biker clubs came together, whew, boy, we could run the world. Got to get my laugh back, man. This cough is killing me. Anyway. Yeah, man. Yeah. We Brother Devil pointed out that in some places in Australia, the bikie clubs are banned from owning tattoo shops and some other businesses too, because they feel that those businesses are money fronts or whatever, or things that bikie clubs would be in. And there's a whole lot of stuff they can't do, but there's a whole lot of stuff they are doing. Hey, what's up? Collaboration at its finest. Honestly, getting together is never a bad thing as long as it's for the right cause and effect. I saw your club over there. I didn't even know your club was over there, brother, over there in Australia. Man, that is really cool. I just saw their picture on the list. I was like, holy moly. Anyway, friends, 30 minutes I think is good enough. No need to talk this to death. Boy, man, if bikie clubs and biker clubs and biker motorcycle clubs and motorcycle gangs and just motorcycle operations all together got together and of course elected me president of it all so I can have some Versace gowns and boats and a couple women. I'm sure we could talk Mother Tia into allowing me a couple of trumpets. An island or two. I'm ready, man. I'm ready for it. I'm ready for that life. I'm just saying. Someone says here the most important and wealthy club members from Australia live overseas. They're starting to get extradited, though, last year or so back here to Australia. We've been watching that. We've been watching them. We've been covering those stories where they bring your boys back, but they live good for a few years. They were living good in the hood on the run. So SSW says he wants a boat. Let me tell you, if I get elected SSW, I'm getting you a boat. Good info, Black Dragon. Thanks. I appreciate you, Rogue Souls. Motorcycle Club. It's good to see you, Geo the Great. Derek Warrington, all my good people. K. Wayne. I'm going to let you guys get out of here. Have a blessed day. And what's up, C. Ruger? Congratulations, new vice president. Appreciate you. Much love. Thanks for all the long support. I want to let you guys get out of here and tell you, appreciate you watching the day. Thanks for tuning in. Get skinny. And let's, as bikers, let's make more love than war. Let us get along with one another because, as it used to be, we were drawn by the love and passion of riding. But hey, if there's money to be made in other ways or whatever the case may be, if you guys need to hire a rider, the Black Dragon is here. Take care, my friends. Get skinny. Keep yourself in order. Get in the gym like them new Australian bikers, man. Every one of them guys got muscles. And, having a good time treating each other individually like solid pieces of irreplaceable precious metal, such as platinum or gold or the stuff they make catalytic converters out of. Hey, subscribers, whenever you are in Macon, Georgia, you have to get over to my Motorcycle Club Brothers Cigar Lounge. Haley's Cigar Lounge on Ingleside Avenue has a night or several nights just right for you. Monday night football kicks off the week. Wednesday is whiskey night. Thursday, ladies night. Saturdays are make your night. And wrapping up the weekend, it's Sunday football. Haley's is closed on Tuesdays. Enjoy the friendly atmosphere at Haley's. hang out at the bar, or outside on the patio. They can also host your small events. Haley's Cigar Lounge, 2308 Ingleside Avenue in Macon, Georgia. Be sure to tell them Black Dragon sent you.
Get Black Dragon's first book, The Prospect's Bible, to learn how to join a motorcycle club. It has been an Amazon #1 bestseller for the past 7 years and is required reading for over 3,000 motorcycle clubs worldwide. This book is a must-have for new people venturing onto the motorcycle club set. It will teach you how to prepare yourself for service to the motorcycle club nation and show you how to qualify a motorcycle club to be worthy of your service. Available on Amazon, Kindle, and for order at your local bookstore. Get your autographed copy at blackdragonsgear.com. Be the best motorcycle club prospect you can be. Get the book.
Prepare yourself to take the helm as president of your mighty motorcycle club by delving into the pages of Black Dragon's newest book, The President's Bible, Chronicle 1, Principles of Motorcycle Club Leadership. There you will learn to advance your skills in applying the 14 scientific principles of leadership similar to those taught to officers in the United States Naval Service. Available in hardcover, paperback, and ebook. Get yours today on Amazon, Kindle, or order it at your local bookstore. Order your autographed copy from blackdragonsgear.com. Be the best motorcycle club president you can be. Get the book.
Nothing tops your cup. Nothing tops your cup. Nothing tops your cup.
Into the Black Dragon and listen to his knowledge. This is Biker 101, and he's professor to the college. Posting up videos on YouTube, coming directly to you, showing you the ins and outs of what not to do. He's truly a breed apart. Subscribe to his channel. Some try their best, but they don't match his can. Don't believe me, it's cool. Tune in and hear him on truth. He's straight schooling you. His kids are the proof. He's filled with desire. He's filled with respect. He's filled with the fire. He always comes correct. Was 5 years to prospect. He didn't care about his label, but now he runs the Black Sabbath. Set in stone is his fable.
Black Sabbath forever, forever Black Sabbath.
Thanks for tuning in and get skinny.